heard a lot of people recently calling me the AI prompt girl, which is really funny. I never thought that would be a thing. I remember sitting at a founder's table, felt like they were speaking another language. Like they were talking about capital raising, exiting, like all these things. I just remember it being so foreign, but now I actually understand everything they're saying, which is crazy. Nothing compares to like organic social media. Like we could spend 5 minutes on a video at work, just a funny little office skit, and it's got 10 million views. Like nothing compares to that. Action and reps over and over again, proving to yourself that you can do it and that you're capable of doing hard things. Just whether it's content I need to post every single day, not for anyone else other than myself, to prove to myself that I can stick to that goal. If you as a founder are just obsessed with the journey more so, because it's not just the end result, it's the journey of learning and who you become. I just know that you're going to make it work. I think a lot of people are offloading their thinking to ChatGPT, and that's a big issue. Creativity and critical thinking is a massive question around AI at the moment. There's never been a better time to start a business and back yourself and to just take risks, because I think your 20s are for working hard and just...
So if somebody now is listening to this podcast and they're like, I'm just about to finish school.
Yeah.
I don't really know what I want to do or where I want to be or where I would go and work. What advice would you give them?
I would just say...
Tahlia, welcome to Top of Mind. I'm super excited to chat to you today, and doing all of my research, looking online, checking your socials out. You talk about working in a fast-paced startup. You talk about working for the Greeff brothers. What won't we find out about you on the internet? What's something the internet doesn't know about you?
Oh, I've heard a lot of people recently calling me the AI prompt girl, which is really funny. I never thought that would be a thing. But I actually do more than just sitting at my laptop using AI. I love health and wellness. I'm obsessed. I don't know what I'd do without training. And I'm actually only 20 years old, so I'm still just figuring out business, AI, navigating through life.
No, I love that. Tell me a little bit about before you started working with the Greeff brothers. What were you doing? Like you've said you're only 20, which is huge, but like you've done so much in such a short period of time already. So tell me a little bit about before you started working with the brothers.
Okay, great. So I graduated school in 2022, so not too long ago, and I had no idea what I wanted to do, which was scary for me because I thought that I'd always have that planned out. I know exactly what I wanted to do in my career. So that was stressing me out. But I got early entry into uni, so I just went. Did not much thought went into it. I just thought that was the only option. And I did a year of uni and just really wasn't the course for me. And I just don't think uni was for me. So I kept getting this gut feeling like it just doesn't feel right, and I just couldn't shake it. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna give it enough time to test. And then it was like 1 full year, and I just decided to drop out. And then I made a promise to myself, I'm not just dropping out for the sake of it. Like I'm gonna go on a mission to try everything I possibly can. So I started a random little side hustle with my boyfriend. At the time, he was looking for an ice bath because he was doing iron training. So we looked, and the only option at the time was like $10,000 ice baths, and we're like, we cannot afford that. Yeah. So we looked into different options. We found a sample that we could sell for $2,000. So we put that on Marketplace and started that way, and we just started selling them there. And then we opened up a business, started selling them. At first, it was literally just to family and friends, and then we just learnt as we go. Like we had no idea about business, but we just learnt so much just by throwing yourself in there. You learn so much. And then we did that for like a year. We started setting up at like big festivals like Beyond the Valley. That was really cool. Like that was the meaningful part of it, like meeting people, and like we would get hundreds of people a day going in the ice baths, and that was really cool. And I just loved making those connections. And then the market started getting so saturated. Like there was so many on the market, and we were just like, is this really a forever thing of ours? Like I think we have to pivot. So we were either pivoting that to something else, or I was just trying everything, listening to every business podcast possible, following every founder on social media. I was just on a mission. And then I stumbled across Frank's podcast and I heard his story, and I remember thinking, oh my gosh, like you never hear stories of that, like that in Sydney. And I just thought it was amazing how they started as they started as a real estate signboard company and then pivoted into tech. So I just had this weird feeling to reach out, which I never do, but I'm so glad I got that feeling. And I just sent him a message. I was like, we'd listened to the podcast for quite a while up until the point of sending the message. So I just said the podcast has had like the biggest impact on us. And we honestly learned so much from it. And then at the time, there was a episode where we was talking about like investing in startups. So that was top of mind. A connection we had, one of Chucky's family members started as the COO at a company in the US. It was like a competitor. They were taking on Airbnb, but luxury homes. So because we were listening to the podcast and we were gaining all that knowledge about like investing in startups, that wouldn't have even been in my mind. But because we were listening to the podcast, we asked her, could we invest in the business? Like, would that be possible? And then she came back to us like a month later and we got to invest, which was amazing because at the time they were just starting out and now they're huge. They've got 600 properties in America and they're just killing it. They're growing so fast. This was only a year ago when we invested.
Quick pause for a second. I just want to quickly interrupt to ask you one thing. If you are loving the content that you are listening to, make sure you hit subscribe or leave a review. I want to keep these podcast episodes ad-free for as long as possible, and the only way that I can do that is by you guys subscribing or leaving a great review or sharing it with a friend. So that's all I ask of you today. Now back to the episode.
So I told him that story and then that just sparked his attention, and then he replied straight away. We had a meeting and the timing was great because at the time not many people were reaching out to him because I just heard it on the podcast that he was hiring. And then we had a meeting and now here we are. We're building Kinso. I started working for Founders Table and then now we're just about to launch Kinso in November.
Love that. Yeah. Now I want to go back to a few points that you spoke about.
I just rambled.
No, not at all. I love it. It gives good context to your background and how this all came about. But I want to go back to your decision to leave uni. We've spoken about this offline, but I think that university is not for everybody. And I have had hundreds of conversations with people in my DMs at career nights that I speak at and things like that where they're like, I don't know what to do at uni, or I don't know if like going to work for somebody or going to, university for 3 years, what's better. And I would argue that there is no right way to do it.
No.
At the time when I left school, again, like university was probably the only way to do it. But now, like fast forward many years, because I've been out of uni many years, fast forward 12 years since I left uni, there is a number of ways now that people can kind of get their foot in the door, so to speak, right? Do you regret dropping out of uni, or do you think it's the best thing you've ever done?
I think it's the best thing I've ever done because of the opportunity now working for them. And honestly, I've learnt more in the last 6 months, it's been 6 months now, than I did in all of uni, probably most of high school too, like about business, money, everything. Like we're just having conversations daily, and when you're surrounded by successful people, like I just can't believe how much I've actually learned in 6 months. And it's only now looking back and reflecting. Like I remember sitting at a founders table on like my first day, and that it felt like they were speaking another language. Like they were talking about capital raising, exiting, like all these things. And I just remember it being so foreign. But now when I am at a founder's table, I will understand. Like I had a moment the other day where I was like, I actually understand everything they're saying, which is crazy. And it's just, you just learn so much being in that fast-paced environment. Like it's just crazy.
So if somebody now is listening to this podcast and they're like, I'm just about to finish school. I don't really know what I want to do or where I want to be, or, I don't know if uni is going to be the right thing for me because I'm not sure what I would study there, but I also don't know where I would go and work. What advice would you give them?
I would just say if you're not sure, have conversations with people. Like I just jumped straight into going to uni because I thought that was the only option. But just have as many conversations. Like if you have a rough idea of what industry you want to go into, just have so many conversations with people. You'd be surprised if you just reach out to someone, they will give you their time. If you spend time trying to get their attention and just be patient, they definitely will have a chat with you. So just have conversations with people and just weigh up your options. Like obviously for some things, if you want to be a doctor or a lawyer, like you have to, of course. But I think there's so many different ways to go about it. And I just think working in a startup is the best thing you could do at a young age. Like you just learn so much. And yeah,
I had this conversation with someone yesterday actually, and she's at uni at the moment, and I'm like, people are so scared to reach out to people.
Yes.
And I'm like, as a business owner, I'm like, if anyone reaches out to me, like I will always respond. Like it might be a bit late, but I'm like, I will always respond because I'm like, the fact that they've gone the extra mile to reach out or to like, you know, see what we do, or like not just a cold DM that's like, hey, can we chat?
Effort.
Like you've done your research about what we do, or, you know, you've listened to a podcast episode or whatever and you want to talk about a specific thing on that podcast episode. So I think people will naturally be keen to help somebody that's put the effort in to learn about them.
Yeah, 100%.
So I couldn't agree more. Now, the next thing you spoke about after, you know, choosing to drop out of university was your business with your partner.
Yeah.
How did you go about setting that up? And because jumping straight into it, you learn so much when you're in it. You're like, we've just got to figure out how to build the boat as it's like cruising, right?
Yeah.
What did you guys do to market it and tell people about it? Was it just word of mouth, or how did you kind of set up that structure of marketing within the business that you were running?
So we just like looked at, okay, what is every way we could get in front of people? We were still very much figuring it out. We were like, what is every way we could possibly get in front of people with a low budget? So we, first of all, it was just word of mouth. Then it was like just reaching out to as many people as possible, like small businesses that wanted to do collabs for free because we'd provide ice baths for them and they would get something out of it too. So they were all down to do that. And then that eventually turned into festivals and bigger events. Literally, we posting on social media. I was still very much trying to navigate social media, so that didn't take off organically. But then meta ads, trying to learn meta ads and how to master it on a smaller budget. Google ads is massive for that. Someone types up ice bath and needs to be there. So just trying to, like, we still were figuring it out along the way, but just figuring out every way you can possibly get in front of someone's screen or them see it in real life, and just figure it out as you go.
Figure it out to start, and then figure it out as you go.
Just start.
Yeah, I love that. And if there was one kind of what you learned in that, and perhaps what you're learning now with Founders Table and Kinso. I am quickly interrupting to let you know that all of the good stuff lives in our emails. Cheat sheets, exclusive events, workshops that we run for our community that are centered around marketing, social media, and personal branding. You can sign up for our emails in the show notes. Back to the episode. Was there one way that was better for you than the other? Like, is there something that you look at that you're like, if I was starting a business again now, this is what I would do?
So back then I thought organic social media, like, it wasn't converting. I was like, this is terrible. I'm putting so much effort into organic social media and it's not converting. Like, back then I was like, you actually have to have real conversations and go out and people see it in real life and have a conversation with you and then want to buy it. Like, that's how I felt back then. That just word of mouth, having real conversations, events, that was working for us. So that's what I thought. But then now working at Founders Table and Kinso, like, obviously Frank and Jacques have a huge personal brand now. So it's just the impact of organic social media can be huge. Yep. And it's like, it's not so much direct. It doesn't directly convert, but you just being in front of people's screens, eventually, like, with the mixture of that organically, paid ads, they see you at an event in real life, like, you're always just front of mind. And I think the mixture of everything is great. But nothing compares to like organic social media. Like we could spend 5 minutes on a video at work, just a funny little office skit, and it's got 10 million views. Like nothing compares to that.
Yeah.
And it took us 5 minutes. Like
Yeah,
it's crazy.
That is crazy. What is, I mean, I know I've obviously spoken with Frank, and he was in a few episodes ago, but
Yeah.
he talks about you joining, and he said one of the things that you spoke about was like a lot of mindset stuff that like really impressed him, right? Like you talked about a bunch of different mindset stuff when you first met. He was like, how is a 20-year-old or a 21-year-old like talking about this stuff or knowing about this stuff? What do you think the biggest mindset shift was for you going from working for yourself and like having fun kind of figuring out all this like new unknown with building a business and then investing in startups and things like that to then going to work for somebody?
The thing that comes to mind is probably just overcoming imposter syndrome. Because I feel like when I was working for myself, I was like, oh, it's fine. I can just figure it out along the way. But now being around such successful founders, I remember thinking when I first started, like, oh, I'm not good enough. What do I know? Like, and I just remember feeling that so intensely. And I remember when I would create a piece of content for them, I'd show them, I'd be like, oh, but like we don't need to do it. I'd have so much doubt. And I remember one day Frank was like, just relax. Like you're doing such a good job. Stop doubting yourself. Like I've noticed you doubt yourself so much. And that was just an unlock for me. I was like, oh, I became aware of it.
Yeah.
And I think it's just overcoming that is just reps, like just action and reps over and over again, like proving to yourself that you can do it and that you're capable of doing things, hard things especially. And I think that's how you build confidence, is just reps and reps and reps and proving to yourself and like setting goals within yourself, whether it's content I need to post every single day, not for anyone else other than myself, to prove to myself that I can stick to that goal.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't even matter what the quality. Sometimes I have a goal for myself. I want to post every single day.
Yep.
Sometimes I just might not get around to creating a really high quality video that day, but that's all right because I just need to get something out.
Yeah.
So it's just, and I think that's really important when you're just starting out, is to just get in the reps. It doesn't matter. Take swings. Like it really doesn't matter. You're just trying to see what lands and what works, and then you can adjust. And
I couldn't agree more. I always say like confidence follows action.
yes.
Like you're not confident before you do the thing.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, have you ever driven a manual car?
No, I haven't.
I always use manual cars as an example because I remember driving a manual car or learning to drive a manual car. And I was just like, this is so fucking hard. Yeah. And I'd bunny hop down the road. But then I'm like, now I get in a manual car and I don't think twice.
Yeah. It's just
repeating
action
it.
And reps over and over. Yeah.
I love 100%.
that. 100%.
I love that. Now, a lot of people romanticize the idea of startups, and I know that you spoke about before investing in startups.
Mm-hmm.
What did you learn about investing in startups that you were like, I want to do that?
So what was what did I learn about investing?
Yeah, so what did you, when you were learning about investing in startups, what was it that drew you to like wanting to do that?
Well, my boyfriend and I had a conversation about like what are the 3 ways to build wealth. And I feel like property is such a huge one in Australia. Like it feels like the only option sometimes. And then there's business, obviously, and then shares. But I think that investing in startups, I just didn't even know that was a thing. But obviously you have to build connections to be able to invest in startups. So we were lucky that we had that connection.
Yeah.
Or obviously working in a startup and getting equity is another way to invest in startups. But I think, I think it's just diversification as well, like having a little bit of everything. I think that's the way I want to do it. I'm still figuring it out, but I think that's the way that I want to do it.
I love that. Will you be looking at buying in Australia?
I will be eventually. Yeah. But I, like property, you mean? Yeah. But I just want to, I don't think it's the only option. It's like it's not on the top of my list. I really just want to try, Yeah, I just don't think it's the only way.
I agree.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. I think it's funny, like I'm 34, so I've got many more years on you. But I'm like, even that, like I made a decision not to invest in property, but to invest in building my business.
Yeah.
And at times I'm like, have I made a mistake? Because you just sit there and you're like, should I have done something 5 years ago differently?
Yes.
I'm like, that's in the past. And I'm like, it will always be there for me to do.
Yeah.
But like being able to invest in in a business at the time that I wanted to is not always going to be there. Like it's not always going to be the option. So yeah, I love that. Were you scared that, you know, as a 20-year-old or someone leaving university that, you know, what if I make the wrong decision, or what if I, you know, what if I make the wrong turn or step down the wrong path? Or were you kind of confident in taking a risk that you were like, I'll just figure it out?
I was so scared. That's why, because I had that feeling of, oh, this is not for me from the very beginning. But I was just so scared that I was like, what am I going to do? Like if I have nothing to fall back on.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I just think if you do drop out and take that risk, I think you just really need to make a promise to yourself that you're going to try a lot of different things and figure out what lights you up. Like, because I remember I was listening to business podcasts and I was like, oh, like I just felt obsessed with learning. Like I just wanted to listen to a podcast every day on my walk, and just I think it's also like getting obsessed with learning as well, and that journey. Like it's so exciting, that gap from when you know nothing and you just learn so much in that first period of time. And that just really excited me. And I just, became obsessed with business. And I just thought like there's nothing that compares to it as like a wealth creation vehicle.
I love that. I touched on it briefly, but your kind of relationship with risk, like doing the things that you've done to date, like starting a business on your own at 20, you know, leaving uni and then like reaching out to Frank, like all of these things have come with some element of risk.
Yes.
Do you feel like you've had a good relationship with risk in the sense that you've got a good support network that you're like, oh, they'll back me no matter what? Or like what has kind of helped you build that healthy relationship with taking a risk that most people in their 20s wouldn't?
I'm very lucky in the sense that I'm still living at home. So I'm so privileged to be able to take those risks. And that's why I'm like, I'm going to take every risk possible up until I can't be living at home anymore. But also I think I'm also very lucky in the sense that my partner and I have been together since we were 14. So 6 years. And I think he just really, we encourage each other to take risks. And I think that has really helped. Like we're in it together. Like, so I'm very lucky in that sense. But I just think it's just backing yourself. And like, even if this venture, like I was talking about this the other day at work, like even if that venture doesn't work, it's like you as a founder will learn so much from that you can pivot. You can just pivot, keep pivoting until it works, or find something else. But the knowledge that you either win or you learn. Like it's not failure. You're just learning and you're moving on to the next thing, and you're just going to keep making it work. And it's funny, we were talking about the stat that's 90% of businesses fail. Yep.
It was literally the thing that drove me to get to, I think it was 3 years in business. I was like, I just have to get to 3 years because I think it was something like 90-something% of businesses fail in the first 2 years. And I was like, I just have to get to 3 years. Yeah. And I'll be like, okay.
Yeah, I know. And we were saying at work, like how accurate really is that? Because you can open an ABN and close it down again. Like you couldn't, or it doesn't measure that founder. Like that founder could have opened 9 businesses and 9 of them fail, but then the next one is a huge $1 billion company, but they still have 9 failures against their name. Yeah. Yeah, I just think that if you as a founder are just willing to just make it work, no matter what, like you are so obsessed with your mission and to getting there, or just obsessed with the journey more so, because it's not just the end result, it's the journey of learning and who you become within that process. If you're obsessed with that, I just know that you're going to make it work. Like you'll find a way.
I love that. I was talking just before about romanticizing startups. And a lot of people do. Like I make a joke regularly on our platforms every month. It's like your monthly reminder, like starting a business isn't sexy. Like it's not like 9 till 11 in the morning and then you spend the rest of the day doing whatever the fuck you want to do.
Yeah.
And a lot of people romanticize the idea of owning their own business or working in a startup.
Mm-hmm.
What is a massive misconception that maybe you had before you started working with Frank and Jacques, and then you realize that by being in the business that they're building between Founders Table and Kinso, that that's not actually true?
Something that comes to mind is people say startups are fast, especially in the AI and tech world, but I just didn't even conceptualize how fast it really is.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like another level of fast, especially with AI. It's a race and you've got to, so literally from 7:30, we only work 7:30 till 3:30, but within that time, it's like so intentional and we just have to move at pace. It's literally, they'll be in a meeting, Frank and Jacques, and you'll see them running to the toilet running into the toilet in the middle of the meeting or running in between meetings. Like there's no time wasted because they want to spend time with their family and they don't want us to be working ridiculous hours. But it's like we have to be so intentional with our time, and it made me realize how slow I was really moving before that. Like when you have a time crunch and you just set yourself little goals within the day, I have to have this done by 11. Like it just has to be done. And it's funny, like I find that I always speed up my work at the end of the day in the afternoon when you need to get it done. Like you've got that time crunch, but it's moving that from the morning, like because we start at 7:30, that's when we're almost productive in the morning. So it's like moving at pace like you would in an afternoon when you need to get that done by the end of the day, but from the morning. And it's just speed, like the speed of execution, and also the time between like thinking, so making a decision and acting. That's what I've noticed. They are so like they'll have a thought, they'll have an idea and they'll just do it. Won't overthink it. Just we'll film the content idea, we'll post it right now, let's go, move on. Like it's like, because if it doesn't work, who cares? It took you 10 minutes. Like it's like reducing that time between, most people just spend so long making a decision that nothing actually happens. But if you can compound that effect of reducing the time between thinking and doing, that effect is crazy over time.
Yeah, I love that. If you are loving this episode, don't forget to leave a comment or hit that subscribe button. You have no idea how much it means for podcasters like me to get a like or subscribe, because it means that we can get better guests and we can get into more ears of people to help talk to them about marketing, social media, and personal branding. Now back to the episode. Now, one thing that really resonated, and the reason that I wanted you on the podcast initially, was the fact that your story really resonated with me in the sense that you just put yourself out there and you're like, I want to work with you. Like, I feel like I can learn from you, you know, your story of working for yourself beforehand and then just reaching out and literally just putting yourself out there. But then also I loved the fact that you consistently put yourself out there with the content that you create and, you know, the value that you're giving to other people. You're really, really vocal about putting yourself out there and like just doing it. What does that look like in practice? Like you spoke about putting the reps in before, but why do you think most people hesitate to act?
I think I struggled with this as well. It's just, I just cared about what people thought too much. So I was too worried to put myself out there. But when you can let go of that and realize that it's not that deep, like no one actually cares. Everyone is just doing their thing. And like, I just felt like everyone was judging me, but no one cares. Like no one cares. So like, and I always think if you put a piece of content out there and it flops, no one sees it. If you're embarrassed about it, no one sees it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And if it blows up, then great. Like that's what you wanted. Like it actually just doesn't matter as long as you're, like I said before, setting a goal for yourself. And just trying to be consistent with whatever you're doing, even if you're not posting content. But for me, it's like I have to post that piece of content every day and just getting the reps in and just making sure you stick to those goals and proving to yourself that you can do it.
Yeah, I love that. Was there a moment that you realized that you were like, it's not that deep? Like was there a moment that it kind of clicked for you that you're like, oh, fuck, nobody cares?
I think it's just like over time, just posting silly content, and I'd be like, oh, like we always post our joke videos on Kinso, and it's like they flop and they could flop and get 200 views. I think it's just, but no one's actually seen it, no one's commented, no one cares, or like I just feel like it's just over time posting more and more content. It's like that's the way that you find out. Okay, no one cares.
Yeah.
They're either like most of the time everyone is so lovely. Like I'm getting messages, I love your content so much. I'm so like invested in your journey. Like no one, I'm so lucky that I haven't got any hate. But I think that's just with growing your audience. You have a wider sample space and you get more hate. That's just the way it goes. Yep. But yeah, I think it's just posting content over time.
Are you prepared for hate? Like how do you feel if you do think that you like, I always say like over my many years on social media, like I've had my fair share of like weird or awful comments, but I feel like I'm confident enough in myself that I'm like, you're a silly little person behind a silly little keyboard and like your opinion doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I always worry about people that perhaps aren't as confident or like feel a little bit more nervous about getting hate or, you know, perhaps are chronic overthinkers and are like, do they actually mean it? Like, and let it get to them. Like I always worry that I'm like, I'm glad people, if they direct their hate towards me, at least I can deal with it.
Yes,
whereas
that's the same. That's how I feel too.
Are you very much like if I get haters, like it's just water off a duck's back? You're just like, I don't care.
Well, it
How
depends.
do you take it?
Like I remember I was doing a children's book for Frank and Jacques and it was with AI. It was like a fun little project. I had to create the whole thing with ChatGPT and it was for their friend. And then so I posted a video on that and I did get hate on that. It was like you're making illustrators redundant and that got to me because I was like, oh, like I really don't want it. Yeah. I don't want to be like that stuff gets to me. But if it's hate about a silly little comment, like I just think if you're sitting behind your keyboard doing that, like
you need a hobby.
Yeah, find something else to do. Do something better with your time.
No,
like that's how I feel about that. Yeah,
I get that.